excited to talk to you about this because, as I just mentioned, you are no stranger to Indiana. What made you want to take this job?
Well, first and foremost, it's home. I mean, this is a franchise in the Indiana Fever, Indiana Pacers that's in my DNA. Grew up in Indiana, played with the franchise, of course, a part of the franchise when we won. Another 22, a generational player in Caitlin Clark, a generational player in Aaliyah Boston, certainly when you think about back-to-back Rookie of the Years and what each of those players have done up until this point for their universities.
In a world where basketball excitement rarely takes a pause, Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White have just turned the Connecticut Sun's spotlight up a few notches, making fans sit up, laugh, and maybe scratch their heads in disbelief. It all started with what some would consider an unexpected pairing: the rising star Caitlin Clark and the seasoned coach Stephanie White. This twist is like adding a spicy new ingredient to an already tantalizing dish. With Clark's move catching just about everyone off guard, the Suns fan base and staff had a collective moment that ranged from raised eyebrows to outright applause. Clark's journey with White isn't just a player-coach dynamic. It feels like the start of something wild, intense, and maybe even a bit daring, with both bringing their unique fire to the court. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Clark's reputation precedes her, a sharpshooter with a sense of rhythm that defies most defenders. She moves with a kind of confidence that would make even the most seasoned veterans pause. When she first showed interest in the Connecticut Sun, many wondered why she didn't aim for one of the usual glam teams. But that's the thing about Clark, she's anything but predictable. Her journey from college to now has been paved with unexpected moves, each more captivating than the last. Connecticut seemed like an unusual choice, but for those who followed her path, it made sense in a strange, fitting way. The Sun, after all, have always prided themselves on being a scrappy, determined team with no shortage of surprises. Stephanie White is the perfect match for Clark's audacious spirit. Known for her strategic mind and unflinching attitude, White is coached with a firm, insightful hand. Her coaching style is grounded in experience, but far from stale. She's been a player herself and has the rare ability to see the game from both sides of the whistle. This makes her a unique mentor for Clark, who's just stepping onto the grander stage. White isn't the type to sugarcoat feedback. If Clark is going to make it with her, she'll need to prove she can take some tough love. And if the knowing glances and smirks shared between the two are any indication, Clark is ready for it. Her fiery personality might even thrive on White's sharpness. The Sun staff, usually a calm and steady bunch, could barely keep their excitement in check. The idea of pairing Clark with White sent ripples through the office, sparking discussions in hallways, locker rooms, and even the coffee lines. Coaches exchanged knowing glances, and players whispered in eager tones. There was an understanding that this wasn't just another signing. There was something brewing here, something that felt electric, yet nobody could quite put their finger on what. It's as if Connecticut had stumbled upon a formula that they never knew they needed. Clark and White together have a kind of synergy that's hard to describe but impossible to ignore. One of the most interesting things about Clark is her almost nonchalant humor. While she has the focus of a laser on the court, off it, she's known for cracking jokes, often at her own expense, giving her an approachable vibe that fans find refreshing. Her laid-back, slightly mischievous personality has made her one of the most popular players, especially among younger fans who see her as a relatable figure, someone who works hard but doesn't take herself too seriously. When asked about her move, she shrugged and said something along the lines of, "I just thought it'd be fun." That's Caitlin in a nutshell. She's in it for the love of the game, the thrill of competition, and yes, maybe a bit of the spotlight, but only the kind she can shine on her own terms. Stephanie White, by contrast, is known for her sharp and occasionally dry wit. She's quick to throw out a humorous remark, sometimes at the expense of her own players, in good fun, of course. When the news broke, White couldn't help but flash a grin, as if she knew something everyone else didn't. This pairing of coach and player, each with their own brand of humor and intensity, feels like the beginning of an unforgettable storyline in the Suns' history. White's humor, though subtle, keeps her players on their toes. She's been known to throw a curveball in practice drills just to see who's paying attention. With Clark's penchant for banter, practices are likely to be a lively affair. The Connecticut Sun's locker room has always been a close-knit space, but the arrival of Clark injected a new layer of energy. Players who'd usually be quietly preparing for the next game found themselves laughing more, drawn in by Clark's infectious spirit. Even veterans on the team who'd initially eyed her with skepticism couldn't help but warm up to her. She brought an undeniable energy, challenging teammates with casual remarks that hinted at her competitive edge. "You called that a three-pointer." She'd tease, knowing full well she could hit that shot with her eyes closed. And while her confidence might have rubbed some the wrong way at first, her performance quickly silenced any doubts. Training sessions took on a whole new rhythm, with White watching from the sidelines, arms crossed, a satisfied smirk playing on her lips. There's an underlying strategy in White's mind, no doubt a blueprint that only she could fully understand. But she kept her thoughts close, only offering a hint of her plans now and then. Clark, for her part, adapted quickly. It didn't take long for her to pick up on White's cues, the unspoken directions that other players missed. It was almost like watching a game of mental chess, with each move and counter-move adding depth to their dynamic. White would push Clark harder than anyone else, testing her resolve, and Clark would respond with determination, and maybe a little sarcasm just to keep things interesting. For Connecticut Sun fans, this development was akin to watching a reality show unfold, with every practice and game feeling like a new episode. The buzz around the stadium grew louder as word spread of Clark's audacious shots and White's razor-sharp critiques. Fans speculated about what would come next, but the truth is, even the most ardent supporters were only getting a fraction of the story. The real action was happening in the small interactions, the banter, the silent exchanges that hinted at a deeper understanding between Clark and White. Beyond the humor and the spectacle, this collaboration represents a significant shift for the Connecticut Sun. Clark's arrival, under White's guidance, signals a clear intent. They're here to make waves, to change the game, and to do it with style. Clark's playing style, with its daring three-point shots and lightning-fast passes, adds a new layer to the team's dynamic. The Sun have always been resilient, but Clark's flair for the unexpected could be what takes them from contenders to champions. It's a high-risk, high-reward move, one that could either lead to glory or test their patience to its limits. What makes this story so compelling is the unpredictability of it all. Clark, though talented, is still a bit of a wild card, and White, despite her experience, seems willing to let her take risks that other coaches might not. This isn't a standard mentorship. It's a partnership with an edge, a dance where neither is entirely leading. For White, Clark's willingness to push boundaries might be exactly what the team needs to break through. And for Clark, White's firm but fair approach offers a grounding presence that could help her refine her raw talent. The media, of course, jumped on the story. Headlines splashed across sports pages, each one trying to capture the essence of the Clark-White connection. The interviews were gold. Clark's deadpan responses and White's knowing smiles provided the kind of content that made fans feel like they were in on the joke. When one reporter asked Clark if she'd change her style under White's leadership, she smirked and replied, "We'll see if she can handle it." White, overhearing, shot back with a laugh, "Oh, I can handle it. Question is, can you?" It was these kinds of moments that showed just how much chemistry they had, both on and off the court. The excitement spilled into the local Connecticut community as well, with more people than ever attending games, eager to see the duo in action. Clark's following from her college days added a new demographic to the stands, young fans who saw her as a modern basketball hero, someone who played with the same intensity they'd brought to pickup games. And White's presence reassured the loyalists, those who'd been there through thick and thin, that the Sun hadn't lost their core identity. Instead, they were expanding it, adding layers that made each game a little more intriguing. The Clark-White saga has become a highlight in Connecticut Sun's history, a narrative that fans will talk about for years to come. It's not just about basketball, it's about what happens when talent meets wisdom, when fire meets precision. And while the outcome of this partnership is still unwritten, one thing is clear: Connecticut Sun games are now more than just sporting events. They're spectacles, dramas filled with intensity, humor, and an unshakable sense of possibility. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.